congratulations to President-elect Donald Trump on his victory at the polls. Davis sharing the existing working relationship between the Bahamas and the United States and expressed optimism about the future of that working relationship between the two countries with President Trump at the helm. Well, tonight, residents are weighing in on Trump's historic comeback to the White House. Our Jolanda Thompson-Everest has tonight's top story.
Coming from the Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis.
America has spoken. Over 60 million Americans casting their votes, choosing the candidate who they believe is best to lead their country. And that choice was made clear. It's former President Donald Trump.
Donald Trump coming back, that's one of the best things for the world.
We spoke with residents and U.S. citizens about this historic U.S. presidential election. President-elect Donald John Trump will now become the first person to win back the Oval Office after losing a re-election bid since Democratic Grover Cleveland in the 1800s. For some Bahamians, they believe that the Bahamas often sees economic benefits when the Republican Party is in power.
We've been looking at a lot of things that pretty much affects us. And he's been there 4 years before, and he's done a very good job, and I feel like he's going to do it again.
The format that he put out there is with God's principle.
It never happened for us in the Bahamas under the Democrats. Everything always happened for us in the Bahamas under Republicans.
It was a clear decision that was made on behalf of the voters.
I think he was screwed out of the last election. I'm glad he made it back.
He left, American economy staggered all over the place. High prices, there's gas, water, rental, and unemployment skyrocketing.
These residents weigh in on Bahamians and those that could possibly be affected by the deportation.
If you are legal, you're legal. If you are illegal, you're illegal.
If you're illegal, you should be back in the Bahamas. Go the right way.
So if you're a Bahamian that's over there that's not legal, then, you know, I feel no way of them deporting you.
Take some clamps down on all the illegals coming into the country.
While applauding Trump for a landslide victory, they share some ideas they hope to see take place.
I would like to see a continued relationship, that continued open door policy where we benefit where we can from the United States.
I hope he gets rid of a lot of them old guys that's in politics. We need to take a sweep and make a difference.
For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Jolanda Thompson-Everest.
Switching gears now, as Diplomatic Week continues on the island of Grand Bahama, the government of the Bahamas remains on a mission to expand its global vision, tap into new trade markets, and diversify this country's economy. Joan Davis-Schroll explains.
A major announcement coming from the Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis, during the official opening of the Diplomatic Week here on Grand Bahama. The nation's chief executive stated that the government is preparing to introduce some revolutionary changes when it comes to the country's economic and trade industries. The diplomatic corps, he says, will play a pivotal role.
We are pleased to announce the opening of the Consulate General offices in Jamaica, where we welcome Alvita Knight, and in Port of Spain, where Dr. Monica Davis joins us to further our outreach. In the United States, we welcome Joy Newbold as Consul General in Los Angeles, enhancing our representation on the West Coast. In Canada, we honor the legacy of the late Al Dillette, who established our office in Toronto, and we welcome Melanie Griffin as his successor. The Bahamas will expand its diplomatic presence on the African continent, recognizing the value of stronger ties in trade, technology, and development.
The Davis-led administration efforts will not stop there. The Prime Minister stated that through the National Trade Policy and Vision 2040, plans are in the making to pave the way for trade to be inclusive and transformative, driving both local economic growth and development. This, he said, includes efforts to expand Freeport as a free trade zone and foster export-oriented industries and strategically reduce tariffs to make Bahamian products more competitive abroad.
China's ongoing support in infrastructure, education, and healthcare, which has played a central role in advancing our nation's capacity to meet the demands of a modern, diversified economy. Similarly, we extend our thanks to the United States, a critical partner whose investments in our security, healthcare, educational systems, and climate resilience initiatives have significantly contributed to our stability and our growth.
The Prime Minister further stated that, like all progressive nations, it is imperative that this country keeps pace and continues to evolve.
The Bahamas is establishing an office in the United Arab Emirates to lay the foundation and groundwork for strategic economic cooperation. Through agreements on asset protection, tax frameworks, and trade facilitation, we aim to position the Bahamas as a reliable partner for mutual investment and growth within the region.
Joan Davis-Roll, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Joan. Well, Diplomatic Week was officially opened yesterday morning, and the day concluded with a cocktail reception at the Grand Ilocos Resort. The guest of honor was Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis, who, along with the more than 100 delegates, got a chance to take time off from heavy bilateral meetings and discussions for a night to unwind with the sounds of the Royal Bahamas Police Force pop band, drinks, and food. It was the last event of the evening in which Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Ginger Moxie, got a chance to give the delegates a warm Freeport welcome for the last time.
Grand Bahama is finally on the move, and the untapped opportunities are endless. Your presence here this week is an indicator that the government is on the right track. As our island continues to recover and rebuild, and the country continues to forge partnerships through diplomatic channels, experience exponential growth, and strengthen bilateral relations, I look forward to more opportunities for cultural, social, and economic exchanges and collaborations between the Bahamas and our international partners.
Well, diplomats visiting Grand Bahama Island, led by the Minister of Education, Technical and Vocational Training, were given a tour of several schools on the island. Jolanda Thompson-Everest gives a breakdown in this report.
As Diplomatic Week 2024 begins, the Minister of Education, Technical and Vocational Training, the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin, kicked off the day leading a delegation, including State Minister of Natural Resources Zane Lightburn and Consulate General in Minnesota, Prince Wallace. The tour including several schools on the island, meeting some of Grand Bahama's best and brightest.
Students dressed neatly in full uniform delivered brief presentations and offered warm welcome as they prepared to showcase their school pride and excellence. Both the Minister of Education and Minister of State for Natural Resources expressed their satisfaction with the remarkable maturity displayed during the tour.
This has been a really good experience, and the young people have asked questions. They're curious. This has been a good experience for me, and I'm proud of them because when Mr. Wallace came to speak to them, they represented well.
The young people here have a chance to see the showcase of our talent that represent us and to carry our flag and our banner on their shoulders.
The Minister of Education further emphasized that this is the first time Diplomatic Week will be held in Grand Bahama. She highlighted that the representatives from around the world will have the opportunity to experience a wealth of offerings stemming from Grand Bahama's unique development and the strong sense of Bahamian pride.
These young people are impressive. By any standard, they are impressive and highly intelligent, articulate, confident, clear on what it is they want to see in their lives.
The Consul General in Minnesota, Prince Wallace, accompanied by his wife Sandy, spoke highly of the impressive educational achievements he has witnessed among students on the island.
And it starts with the community, the teachers, etc., pouring themselves into our young people. And when I talk and listen to our young people, Bahamian children, I see a bright future.
Visiting diplomats to Grand Bahama Island, also touring a number of schools, including 8 Mile Rock High School, Bishop Michael Eldon High School, St. Paul's College, and Lucayan International School. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Jolanda Thompson-Everest.
In other news, police on Grand Bahama are investigating the alleged suicide of an adult male who was found in a dilapidated bar in the Jonestown community. Our Shalia Roll was on the scene today and filed the details in this report.
It was around 1 p.m. when police officials made the shocking discovery of a man hanging in this building that was once a popular nightclub that has now seemingly become a dumping ground.
Police at the 8th Morocco Division received a call from a concerned citizen who reported finding the body of a male in an abandoned structure located on Queens Highway, Jonestown.
Residents standing by, police cars lined off, and an ambulance with flashing lights to determine the fate of the man found in the building.
Rival officers confirmed the information of an adult male who was found hanging from the rafters. EMS later examined the male and found no signs of life.
Now, just this morning, the family members of Wayne Roll Jr. released a missing persons flyer in hopes of finding him. Police officials say that the description of the island's latest alleged suicide victim is that of the same with the missing persons flyer.
Based on the description of this male, it's a similar description of the male that was reported missing sometime this morning.
Family members say that Wayne Roll Jr. is a reserved person, admitting that he struggled mentally, adding that this is not the first time that Roll attempted to end his life.
If they'd have come yesterday, they probably could have do something about it. They didn't come.
Days before, residents of the Jonestown community informed police of a man that was seen in the building that was not familiar to them. They believe that if police officials responded to the call with urgency, the victim could still be alive.
Withdrawn. What should I say? Always to himself. He don't bother nobody. You know, very mannerly. But he just, was facing some challenges mentally. And I think his parents was dealing with it the best way they can.
Police officials say that no foul play is suspected in this matter. However, they are still conducting a formal investigation. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Shalia Roll.
And still to come.
It is National Public Service Week. We have the highlights of an important initiative supported by the nation's leader. That story and sports highlights when we return.
It has the looks, the style, the performance. Your new car is everything you always dreamed of. Now it's here. Commonwealth Bank was happy to help put you behind the wheel with a new car loan at a competitive rate and fast, friendly approval. It's a service that just comes naturally to us, just like how love of tradition comes naturally to you. Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
Come on down and see what Dolly Madison has in store for you. Renovate and rejuvenate at Dolly Madison.
Third Dimension is back and better than ever for all of your home improvement needs, from tools and plumbing to housewares and a brand new paint center. Stop by Third Dimension, call 352-6126 and get started on your next project today. It's happy hour at Prop Club Beach in the Grand Lacayan. Join them every Friday and Saturday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. for great food and drinks. Open Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and until midnight on Fridays and Saturdays. Don't miss out. Experience an unforgettable evening at Moonlight on the Bay, a cocktail party under the stars on November 9th at 8 p.m. at Hawksbill Yacht Club. Enjoy live entertainment by D-Mac and the Royal Bahamas Police Force Pop Band. Tickets are $100 with part proceeds supporting the Sister Breast Cancer Support Group.
Here at Freeport Decorators, we have hundreds of products for you to choose from. Whether you're in the market for trophies, plaques, rubber stamps, corporate signs, any kind of interior signage, stamps, or seals, we're your one-stop shop. We feature glass, acrylic, crystal awards for every occasion. We build all the trophies here on site. Looking for a gift item? We feature pens, key rings, mugs, tumblers, barbecue tools, even bamboo cutting boards. Have something already? Bring it on down. Let us see if we can print that special something on it for you. Need a headstone? Memorialize the memory of your loved one with a beautifully lasered granite marker. Our store hours are Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. We focus on customization. So if you have an idea or a new concept, bring it on down or call us at 352-5557 or even WhatsApp your idea to us at 646-0777 and we will do our best to make your awards and recognition ideas a reality.
Your number one team in the North. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
Welcome back. From the crime beat, police in Grand Bahama successfully seized a large quantity of suspected drugs on Tuesday, November 24th, 2024, around 6:00 p.m. According to initial reports, officers from the Drug Enforcement Unit, acting on information received, searched a bushy area on Andres Drive where they found packages of suspected marijuana. No arrests were made. The suspected drugs are estimated to weigh 10.5 pounds with an estimated street value of $10,500. This matter remains under active investigations. Well, tonight, in observation of a National Public Service Week on the island, the Department of Labor and Public Service are hosting a free health screening in the Ministry of Grand Bahama's Collab Unit. Public servants from all entities are receiving consultations from nurses with a full analysis of blood pressure, sugar levels, and weight monitoring, all of which are free of charge. Office Manager at the Department of Labor and Public Service, Sarah Ramming, says this is just a start to ensure everyone is more conscious of their health.
Today is one of the days that we are doing something to give back to the public service. This is our health screen day. And all this week we will be having various activities.
The nation's leader also taking part in the health screening. Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Ginger Moxie, says for her, health is a top priority, a sentiment she wishes upon every other Bahamian to adopt into their respective lifestyles.
Health is wealth, and we want to ensure that the public service is healthy. And kudos to the Minister of Labor and the Public Service, who has ensured that Public Service Week, since it has started, continues to expand and grow and serve the people in the public service.
The Minister of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting, the Honorable Miles Lorota, and a team of executives from his ministry are on Grand Bahama. Earlier today, the team participated in a television show, all in preparation for tomorrow night's town hall meeting. The Permanent Secretary, Phaedra Ramming Turnquest, was among the guests appearing on the morning show. After the show, she talked with our ZNS News about its purpose, first and foremost to educate the public about how to use its digital platform.
It has been in place for a while, but persons seemingly are still not aware of it. So we have persons on site who will be set up, able to answer your questions at the back of the room, to actually check our digital platform. If you have outstanding applications, meaning they have not been answered, you have not heard from us, they can actually check them on site, tell you what you need to bring in such instances, or in others we can explain exactly why we're unable to proceed as is.
Additionally, Mrs. Ramming Turnquest is encouraging residents from throughout the Grand Bahama community to attend and participate in the town hall meeting. She is encouraging customers of social services to bring a vital Bahamian document in order to access the digital platform.
Take an application from you to bring your national insurance card, because our identifier in our digital platform is by your NIB number. And so if we're even following up, you will have to give us your NIB number, provide proof, so that is your card in person. Our persons will be able to put in your number and bring up your case on the screen and answer your questions.
Well, stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, is back after this break.
Portobello's at the Grand Lacayan invites everyone to a Thanksgiving celebration. Enjoy Sunday brunch on November 24th or Thankful Thursday on November 28th with a buffet and live entertainment. For more details and reservations, call 373-1333. Don't miss the grand reopening of Third Dimension on Friday, November 8th. Enjoy 20% off store-wide, 15% off tiles, and special discounts on selected doors. Visit Third Dimension on Yellow Pine Street from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. One day only, save big at Third Dimension.
Ever heard of variety? At Hair Depot Plus, we have hair, skin, home appliances, body care, garden tools, and cleaning supplies. We are located in the LMR Mall. WhatsApp us at 808-5316. Now, that is what I call variety.
One of the biggest decisions you will make when remodeling a kitchen is the design choice for your kitchen cabinets. Whether you want your kitchen to look modern or traditional, the Casablanca White Shaker cabinets will make a sound choice. Stop into Conant Bahamas today and let them enhance your kitchen with the Casablanca White Shaker cabinets. At Conant Bahamas, they also carry an array of Calacatta quartz countertops. Conant Bahamas, Sandy Port Nassau, Freeport Grand Bahama, Abaco, and Eleuthera.
Journey to a serene oasis. Relax. Rejuvenate. Renew. Welcome to Renew Day Spa. For appointments, call 352-RENU.
Take this opportunity to invite you to be with us right here at Calvary Temple for Miracle Deliverance, certainly with guest speaker prophet Kendrick Timbo out of Kentucky and evangelist Tommy Combs out of Alabama. For the next 2 days, the 9th and the 10th, Saturday 7 p.m., Miracle Deliverance service begins. Sunday morning 10 a.m., Miracle Deliverance service continue. And then on Sunday evening at 7 p.m., the Miracle Deliverance service, the final night.
Well, tonight we have this breaking news story. Serious allegations made against the minister responsible for social services. He joins us live tonight, outright denying these claims. Minister, you want to respond to those allegations?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Earlier today, I was tagged in one of the social media groups with some photos and allegations of child abuse as it relates to my grandson. When asked to respond, I have nothing to hide, and I'll just tell the story as it is. Mm-hmm. My grandson was born with Down syndrome. He's been a fighter. Anybody knows kids with Down syndrome, they have various other complications. As a matter of fact, he received treatment. He was taken to the States for treatment, heart condition, lung conditions, and other conditions. He's a true soldier. I was made aware that he had an infection in one of his eyes that spread to the other. He was taken to the Blue Hill Road Clinic and then was recommended for him to go to Princess Margaret Hospital for treatment. I asked my son and his girlfriend, what is the story, because there's a disturbing story out there. Yes, sir. And I was apprised of that information. The part about me turning a blind eye, I invite the police, I invite the Department of Social Services, none of those departments I've had any contact with at all, to go and do their investigation. As far as I've been advised by my son and his girlfriend, that none of the mentioned departments, the police nor social services, had contacted them. As a matter of fact, when he became aware of these images, he then made contact to find out how did these images get out there. Now, he could speak to that. Where I have concern is that he's a twin, actually. The mother reached out to me about, I think it's sometime last year, to say, she sent me an image and said that the children in particular, the two kids were being abused. One of them said that he looked malnourished. And I said to her, I said, I hear you. I said, I have seen those kids. I see them all the time. Because they were sent back to the Bahamas in 2021. The support for those children have come from my son and his girlfriend, and from me. As a matter of fact, my granddaughter's birthday was yesterday, and I was communicating with them. I told him that I told her, the children's mother, that I would have a word with him because these were serious allegations. And I brought the concern. I said, you know, the mother is saying that the children is being mistreated. They are serious allegations. Let me know what the story is. And he said to me, Daddy, you see these kids? You see them.
Yes.
They come to my house, I go to them. So this ain't a relationship where I could speak from a position where I don't know. Right. I think what is disheartening and discouraging is a toxic relationship went bad. And now individuals are being brought into for different reasons. Political reasons, one, and then reasons between relationship that went off. I could say this in the past 3.5. When he came back, I think they were 4 going on 5. Have lived with my son and his girlfriend since. The grandmother is here, is a nurse, and no issue have been raised by the grandmother to me, who also have my contact. We have spoke briefly in the past during another situation that has transpired. And so here is a young kid, 8 years old, fighting for his life because every few months he's in hospital. If you check his arms, burned from drips and other complications, you know, he's afraid of needles, but he's always raised to be independent. And I tell the stories at disabilities events that social services hosts. He's a fighter. Yes. You know, he know how to, hey, Grampy, how you doing? We dap, we talk. He's petrified of needles, but other than that, he could tell you when he wants to use the bathroom. He could tell you when he wants to sleep. He gets agitated because, you know, they're regimented. But now he becomes a topic that could be easily verified. And as I said earlier, I invite the police, I invite the Department of Social Services, go in, review the matter. The findings are there for all. There will be no tampering, no intervention on my behalf. I have not spoken to anybody in social services. I have not spoken to anybody from the police force. If the hospital or the clinic had suspected that this was an abuse case, surely they would have interviewed the parents.
Definitely.
Now, he went there he was in from last week, Friday. It's now Wednesday. To this point, I'm advised by his father that there have been no discussions with regards to abuse of the child.
Yes, sir, Minister. What were your initial thoughts? You said these allegations actually made the rounds on social media. What were your thoughts when you saw this? And do you think this was just a futile attempt, I guess, to taint your reputation? Why were these allegations made?
I could say what it is. There is a personality on social media who reached out to me and said that, well, two, and said to me that, Minister, I just want you to know that it's out there. I was contacted to put you on blast, quoting that individual. Wow. I just wanted you to know. And I said, I know that he had some kind of infection, but I didn't see the photos. I mean, the photos are very, very disturbing. When I spoke to my son, he's saying that the swellings, as a matter of fact, the condition that he is in now actually happened at the hospital. Yes. Originally, there are photos that exist of his condition that were taken before he was taken to the clinic or before he was taken to PMH. what I'm advised by my son that happened is that his eyes closed down and they have to literally open the eyes to put the medication in it.
Yes, sir.
And so, again, the information will be there. I am confident as from what I know, the police or social services or any agency that are going to intervene to review the matter, I'm good knowing that, one, as a grandfather, and anybody who know me, know that this particular grandson I mention more than all because he has been born with a condition that will affect him for the rest of his life.
Yes.
And so I encourage others in the disabilities community not to hide theirs. And I try to tell them, especially in the Family Islands, that, you know, these kids, they have a lot of love to give.
Yes, sir.
And I lead by example when it comes to that particular one because he is the vulnerable one out of the twins. And so that's where the soft spot comes in. And anybody who would have attended any of my disabilities meeting, they will know by name that I call him, and I put this story out there to encourage others to treat kids with disabilities with love and respect because they have so much. And the only time he'll cry is if he's getting a needle. And so when I see this, I'm like, wow, here you are, you decide that, okay, your relationship has gone toxic. You're going to put your baby father on blast. And, oh yeah, we could have a double whammy by just throwing the grandfather in there as if he is this person who knows what is going on and just has turned a blind eye to it. And I vehemently deny that. That is utterly false.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for actually joining us on the broadcast. And we certainly hope that, we know you take those allegations very seriously, and we hope that you get that situation rectified.
I'm sure. I encourage all of the agencies to just do their work. And I'm sure from what I am advised that has happened, that, you know, the truth will come out.
Yes, sir.
And that it's gruesome photos, but it is from from a biological origin that I have been advised. And in the 3.5+ years that those boys have been with my son, I have not seen or heard anything credible, and I see them quite often to suggest abuse is involved. And he could defend himself and the facts, what has happened, how we get to this point. But from being the Minister of Social Services,
yes, sir,
I will never use my position to sweep under the rug, per se, very serious allegation, knowing the position that I have in this country and knowing that the relationship that I have with that particular grandchild of mine, that I will never be in a position to see harm coming. And anyone who knows me know, including my son, I'm a straight shooter.
Yes, sir.
If I believe that those kids were in any way in harm's way, I would be the first one to say, look here, send the kids to their Grammy who brought those children to my son. And in the past 3.5 years, apart from talks of I want my kids back, if you have this concern, you could go to the police. You could go to social services and say, listen, yeah, this child is in an abusive situation. You could go to the Stapleton School where he attends. Exactly. You could speak to the teachers and the principal there. Ask them if they've seen anything that would suggest that he is being abused.
Thank you, Minister. Well, we're just out of time now, but that concludes the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. My name is Raven Davis. Thank you so much for tuning in. The Bahamas Tonight comes your way next.
News is brought to you by the new BTC. Fiber is here. Faster, stronger, more reliable. Together, we are unstoppable. Switch today.
Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, the groundwork laid for the government to pull in more revenue, but despite the opposition's backing, there's some degree of trepidation. A troubled tourism minister. Find out why Chester Cooper's issuing a cease and desist order. And back-to-back killings in an inner-city community. We have the details of what preliminary investigations indicate. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report, starts now. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. Is it enough to escape blacklist? Only time will tell, but the government certainly hoping its compliance with an Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD Global Movement, is at least part of the silver bullet needed to do just that. Following the lead of some 140 countries, the Davis administration's pushing ahead with its decision to tax multinational entities, in the process reaffirming the country's footing as a leading financial jurisdiction and capturing up to $140 million in projected revenue. And to get the ball rolling, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Philip Davis, this morning opened a debate on what's being coined the domestic minimum top-up tax bill.
If you're not earning $800 million per year or more, which is the equivalent of $750 million euros, this tax bill does not apply to you. And again, it only applies to multinational corporations that are operating in the Bahamas. Clause 15 also allows for assessments of a person's tax liability and any associated penalties or fines. Under Clause 16, the Minister of Finance may also prescribe penalties for non-compliance and interest rates on outstanding monies owed. Other highlights include deductions on the total amount owed based on local expenses like payroll to reduce the tax burden on entities with a substantial economic presence in the Bahamas.
Now, while the opposition supports the proposed legislation, Free National Movement leader and Marco City MP Michael Pintard stresses that this comes with some degree of concern.
January deadline, which was when this came into effect on a global level. The question is there a mechanism for this government to go back and get the funds from January through now?
The global treaty was signed on by the previous administration sometime in June or July of, I think, in middle of 2021. June of 2021, right? June of 2021. In August, they called the election. They had any time to do anything about it?
World leaders today congratulating Donald Trump on his victory at the polls in the United States yesterday, sealing what Fox News sees as history's greatest comeback. Trump securing 292 electoral votes and 51% of total votes, while U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris got 224 and 47.5% of votes. Among those wishing the new president-elect well, Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis, who expressed optimism about the future of the working relationship between the Bahamas and the United States. Meanwhile, Foreign Affairs Minister, the Honorable Fred Mitchell, says the Bahamas government is prepared to work hand in hand with the newly elected U.S. President and his administration following the January 20th, 2025 inauguration.
Whatever their policies are, we will meet those policies based on our own values. The values of the Bahamas are those of a liberal democracy, where people have freedom of speech. We believe in the rule of law. We don't believe in preemptory decisions. We do not believe in misogyny. We do not believe in racism. And those values we will uphold.
Well, we can also tell you tonight that a Bahamian American also made history at the polls in the United States yesterday. Justice J. Michelle Sweeting was reelected to serve as the judge for the New York City Civil Court. This representing her second term, and she will serve on the bench for 10 years. Our Felicity Darville scored an exclusive interview with Judge Sweeting.
remarks. While the focus was mostly on the presidential election, in which Donald Trump emerged victorious, other elections also took place. Elections were held for seats in Congress, the Senate, the State Assembly, and for judges. Justice Sweeting told ZNS News that even though the country voted Republican, they do not necessarily vote the same way straight down the line. In her case, she won on the Democratic ticket.
I want to thank the great people of the city and state of New York who have entrusted me to continue to serve in the halls of justice in re-electing me as a judge of the New York City Civil Court, where I will serve the people for another 10 years. It is such an honor and a privilege to have been on the same ballot this historic year in United States history and to have prevailed as a sitting judge.
Judge Sweeting is the first and only legal practitioner admitted to practice law in both the federal and state courts in New York, Washington, D.C., the United States Courts of Appeals for the Second and Fourth Circuits, the United States Supreme Court, and in the jurisdiction of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Being from the Bahamas and being elected to serve as a judge in New York is a profound honor and responsibility. It's a testament to the power of resilience, heritage, and the strength of dreams that is unlimited. My Bahamian ancestry has taught me the value of community, integrity, and most importantly, hard work. These are the principles that guide me every day in this role. So this journey of re-election reflects the dreams of so many who dare to believe in something bigger than themselves. So to everyone from small islands or humble beginnings, know that your voice, your story, and your dreams have the power to reach and shape the world.
Justice Sweeting practiced law right here at the courts in Nassau and made her historic ascent to the Supreme Court bench of the United States, a true testament of excellence. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Felicity Darville.
You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. Stay with us.
At Commonwealth Bank, we offer affordable and flexible choices to get you back to financial fitness. Our personalized debt consolidation solution is built to fit any financial situation. One easy-to-handle monthly payment reduces your monthly expenses and gets you back on track to savings. Life is great when you're not weighed down by debt. Consolidate and live your best life with Commonwealth Bank, your leader in personal banking services.
KFC is giving you more to love with our KFC Bucket Meal with large size. Get the KFC Family Bucket featuring 8 pieces of juicy chicken, family fries, and 4 biscuits that feeds 4. A KFC Deluxe Bucket with 10 pieces of delicious chicken, 2 larger sides, and 4 biscuits that feeds 4 to 6. Or a KFC Party Bucket with 15 pieces of our chicken, 3 larger sides, and 6 biscuits that feeds 6. And we'll handle the dishes, plates, and utensils included, so you can lick your fingers and reach. KFC knows value, and it's finger licking good.
Experience the difference with BTC's fixed services. Whether you're working from home or enjoying family time, BTC ensures you're always in touch with the people and moments that count. BTC isn't just a service, it's a lifestyle. Stay connected, stay inspired, and live your best life. BTC.
This holiday season, the Ministry of Energy and Transport is bringing light back to Bahamian homes. Through our partnership with Bahamas Power and Light, we're offering the Merry and Bright Holiday Reconnection Program, so you can pay as little as 10% of your outstanding balance and get reconnected. Just in time for the holidays. Pay a little, light up a lot. The Ministry of Energy and Transport is committed to making sure no family is left in the dark this season.
Striping Group of Companies.
You're looking at a shot of the Nassau Yacht Club looking west toward the Paradise Island Bridge. Welcome back. There appears to be some movement happening towards the sale of the Atlantis Paradise Island Resort. The resort's owner, Brookfield Asset Management, has been looking to sell the multi-billion-dollar iconic property. Reports now circulating of a potential interested party in purchasing the PI property. VICI Properties, a New York-based real estate investment trust whose portfolio includes nearly 100 hospitality and gaming assets across Canada and the U.S. Brookfield purchased the property from its original owner, Kerzner International, back in 2011. Since then, it has spent over $100 million in renovations. Today, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper was asked about this potential sale, but shied away from saying much, choosing instead to assure that foreign direct investment interest in the country remains strong.
We want to have the ability to continuously get the type of growth that we have seen over the last year. We are operating at almost full capacity in terms of stopover availability. So we're always seeking to attract new foreign direct investors to our shores. And we're looking to see how we can get out of the pipeline much of the $10 billion that we have attracted. As it relates specifically to your question, the time will come when we can make more specific comments.
Well, meantime, the tourism minister is troubled, and as he admitted in Parliament this morning, it has to do with a disturbing and misleading video making the rounds on social media, warning of supposed dangers in the Bahamas this winter. But according to the Honourable Chester Cooper, the video, not carried on any legitimate news stations locally or abroad, is of earlier coverage, yet he has received it more than 35 times.
It is evident that this was crafted for political purposes, not to inform, but to discredit our nation's reputation and to mislead prospective visitors. And what is most troubling about this is that our intelligence suggests that this was done by Bahamians. What kind of Bahamian, for political or whatever reasons, is willing to hurt their own economy and the livelihood of their very families for cheap political points?
Recounting the deep wounds the tourism industry suffered just earlier this year, the minister acknowledged that at the time it took nearly $10 million to manage the impact of the bad press. Now that the U.S. election is in the background, he forewarned that jeopardizing the top industry is frankly unpatriotic. But this by no means the only issue troubling the tourism minister. He also expressed concern over what he called the dismissive and cynical comments regarding new projects, charging that critics are quick to dismiss every development in the country as unnecessary or unlikely.
So I wish that would-be responsible people would cease and desist from spreading this falsehood. To be blunt, for whatever reasons, some of these commentaries are simply delusional. Every hotel, every new attraction, every cruise ship, and every visitor brings vital revenues to our country, creates jobs, and allows countless Bahamians to support their families. We all have the right to discuss issues, and we all have a right to participate in public commentary. But there's a responsible way to do so. We must not talk down our economy, and we must not talk down our major industry.
For the first 9 months of the year, visitor arrivals rose by 16.3%, a healthy increase by any measure, but based on the data compiled, that figure's less than half the rate of growth experienced last year. And as the Central Bank Governor John Rowles explained, it's very closely anchored on a 19.8% boost in sea arrivals.
Air arrivals, which capture high-yielding stopover visitors, increased by less than 1% over the first 3 quarters of the year, compared to a recovery-driven expansion just exceeding 20% in the same period last year. Since the recovery to pre-pandemic volumes, the stopover sector has experienced constrained hotel room capacity, with the average pricing of accommodations, which contributed to some of the more recent gains, only marginally appreciated in 2024. While as a buffer, the vacation rental inventory continued to increase, in 2024, these properties have experienced incremental declines in both average prices and average occupancy rates compared to the first 3 quarters of 2023. This shift, if it is maintained over an extended period, could begin to dampen new investments targeted at this segment.
The outlook for stopover arrivals, though, remains stable to positive. Of course, marketing, strengthening airlift, increasing hotel rooms, but only further boost growth. As for the cruise market, the central bank returned to the long-held argument.
The Bahamas' cruise market outlook remains favored by the significant investments in private destinations throughout the archipelago. This segment also has a significant captive market from which earnings can be boosted if a larger share of existing passengers were enticed to disembark and if more local products and experiences were supplied to these visitors.
Tonight, the Bain Town community again finds itself the setting of a deadly violence. A man police believe to be in his late 20s or early 30s gunned down in an area along Finlayson Street just off Ponciana Drive this morning. The man managing to make it a short distance from where he was shot before eventually succumbing to those injuries. Officer in charge of the Southern Division, Superintendent Devin Robinson, was only able to provide few details on the scene, but says the incident occurred sometime around 9 this morning and that the hunt for the perpetrators is underway.
This incident would have stemmed from the Bowler Street area, where the male who was injured would have traveled north along a track road where he would have collapsed in the yard in the back of us. At this time, I am appealing to members of the public, if they have any information regarding this incident, to please contact 919 or the Southern Division at 356-0225.
This is the second time this week someone has been killed in the Bain Town area. 2 nights ago, a man died after he was struck with an object by a man he had gotten into an altercation with. That incident occurring at a residence along Augusta Street. Baines and Grantstown MP Wade Watson today calling on young men in particular to find better ways to resolve their disagreements.
It's all as a result of inability to resolve conflicts. In one case, it's an uncle and a nephew. And the other case is two friends who hang together on a consistent basis through Augusta Street. Again, it's just based on conflict, and as a result of that, we end up with 2 murders in 2 days.
American Lindsay Shiver and her co-accused Terrence Bethel, who face charges of conspiring to kill Shiver's estranged husband, appeared in the Court of Appeal today. Defense attorneys are seeking to overturn the Supreme Court decision to remand them both to prison. Attorney Damian Gomez, KC, arguing that his client returned from Alabama to Nassau to attend court on an occasion when she could have been heard by Zoom, demonstrating that she had no intention to breach bail. Director of Public Prosecution Cordell Frazier pointing out that though for a month Shiver did not live with her parents as instructed by the court and ended up in a situation where her new boyfriend choked and assaulted her. In the case of Bethel, his attorney Ian Cargill said Senior Justice Cheryl Grant Thompson was harsh in revoking his client's bail because although he did not sign in to a police station in Nassau, he continued to sign in Abigail, where he lives, because he did not get a new bail order. The Court of Appeal justices have reserved their judgment. In the lower courts, immigration officials wasting little time formally charging 10 Haitian nationals with overstaying and illegal landing. The 7 men and 3 women were fined a total of $13,500. As normally the case, it's either pay up or serve 1 to 6 months at the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Now, upon payment of the fines or completion of sentences, the individuals will be deported. Well, On the Beat is after the break.
It's good to be alive this holiday season. Alive is partnering with Western Air to bring 4 lucky Bahamian students home for the holidays for free. If you're a student studying in Florida, all you have to do is share a creative video showing us why it's good to be home for the holidays with the hashtags
It's good to be home and it's good to be alive.
And don't forget to check out our live social media pages and bealive.com to see if you're eligible.
It's good to be alive when things free.
And it's even better to be home for the holidays.
A decade ago, the Bahamas Striping Group of companies was birthed out of a passion to change the way we travel. From only a $5,000 grant, the tenacity and work ethic has propelled BSGC to one of the leading road management companies in the Caribbean. We pride ourselves on going the extra mile where others won't, through the use of our state-of-the-art equipment and our certified team. Although the success is commendable, the road has been long. Yet, the mission continues in striving to be a world-class organization ran by Bahamians for Bahamians. With the help of our experienced and hardworking team, we at the Bahamas Striping Group of companies are committed to making a difference, one road at a time.
Introducing the Focal Smart Pass app that helps you to fuel up faster. Here's how it works. Download the app on the App Store or get it on Google Play and create your profile with payment details. Visit your nearest Shell station. Open the app, scan the pump's QR code, select your payment amount, and begin fueling. Say goodbye to cash and cards because the Focal Smart Pass offers secure and convenient payment options right at your fingertips. Download Focal Smart Pass now and fuel up faster today.
This ain't making no sense, man. How people making it out here, Dre?
If you want to stop living paycheck to paycheck, you gotta learn how to budget. First, write down all of your income. Then, list out all of your expenses. And don't forget to save. Stop throwing away money. Put something aside for savings. And get this, government savings bonds can safely grow your money. So start budgeting, save your coins, and invest smart. Financial independence, wait. Financial independence, wait. Learn how to invest in government savings bonds on the Central Bank of the Bahamas website.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Focal Smart Pass, the smart way to pay at the pump.
Well, Adon and Marcellus are standing by to give us a quick sneak peek of Access Now. Guys, what's up?
Makushla, guess who's coming to town for the Don't Blink Derby? I'm going to let Marcellus give you in on who's coming. I'm sure you're going to be excited.
Maybe some smooth jazz Chisholm coming our way, so looking forward to that.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
You're watching the National Report. Stay close. There's more after this.
$10 deal. Available only at Marco's Southwest, Prince Charles, Village Road, and Robinson Road. Mine, let me see what it's about. I'll take 20 of those, please. Wait. You good? Yeah, bro. Marcos, get this new deal. Get yourself a large one-topping pizza for only $10. $10? Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome. Hey, I need 30 of them $10 carry-out pizza deal, please.
One of the biggest decisions you will make when remodeling a kitchen is the design choice for your kitchen cabinets. Whether you want your kitchen to look modern or traditional, the Casablanca White Shaker cabinets will make a sound choice. Stop into Conard Bahamas today and let them enhance your kitchen with the Casablanca White Shaker cabinets. At Conard Bahamas, they also carry an array of Calacatta quartz countertops. Conard Bahamas, Sandy Port, Nassau, Freeport, Grand Bahama, Abaco, and Eleuthera.
The Anchor Awards is quickly approaching. Come and celebrate our amazing fishers who keep us stocked with the best from the sea. Get your tickets at ticketflare.com/Anchor Awards. Click Buy Tickets. The tickets are only $60. Click the amount and boom, a QR code will be emailed directly to you.
See you there at Bahama, November 16th at the Convention Center. Come on out, let's support our legends of the sea.
That does it for the National Report, but stay close. The Bahamas Tonight continues with Access Now.
Pouring the looks and mixing colors, and fashion was in my blood. I put my personality into my passion. Well, the fabric of hope was inspired by my father. My father had cancer, and I would go with him to treatments and seeing everybody just look despondent and dreary. And I was like, wow, like God, like I'm only a fashion designer. Like, what can I do to assist these people? I know God had me to create it to inspire persons with cancer or any illness that there's hope. It's been in my heart for a couple of days to speak to the older women who may feel that I'm 40, what can I do? I'm 50, what can I do? And that's when the fire in us kicks in. So take that idea that God has given you and put it to use. This is where it all begins.
Empowered women empower women.
Tourism today. Bahamas tourism today.
At the first ever Aviation Honors Recognition Ceremony, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, the Honorable I. Chester Cooper, brought attention to the contributions of the aviation industry to the tourism sector.
The government of the Bahamas is cognizant of the role our partners play in executing our mandate to transform this sector. Aviation facilitates tourism, trade, connectivity. It generates economic growth, provides jobs, improves living standards, alleviates poverty, provides a lifeline for remote communities, and enables a rapid response when disasters occur. We achieve this through intentional partnerships. Yes, I continue to espouse the view that aviation is the oxygen that fuels our country's major lifeblood, and therefore the interdependence between tourism, investments, and aviation as our main economic drivers should never be underemphasized. It is for this reason that I continue to recognize and applaud the thousands of hardworking team members who go above and beyond in their national contributions to the aviation ecosystem. These are people who have come to be honored this evening in this first ever Aviation Awards recognition ceremony. I thank all of you, and I offer my sincerest congratulations on behalf of Prime Minister Davis, the government, and the people of the Bahamas. And I ask you please to give yourselves a round of applause.
For more tourism updates, visit Tourism Today or Bahamas.com. I'm Michael Miller, and this is Tourism Today.
It's the 60th anniversary of Bahamian Women in Policing, a special day for them. Details straight ahead.
Plus, the search is over for all of your favorite fancy foods. Oasis Fresh is officially open.
And the Americans have spoken. Donald Trump is president-elect number 47. Stay close for that.
And coming up in sports, Don't Blink top baseball home runner hitters returning for the Don't Blink Derby.
Tonight, Access Now starts now.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Marcellus Hall.
And I'm LaDawn Davis. Welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, Access Now.
LaDawn, we went to bed last night with Joe Biden as president, woke up this morning to an entirely different thing.
That's right, Marcellus. Donald Trump has the keys to the White House. Once again, the newest president-elect in all the land.
And we have more on that coming up, so let's dive right into the news. Women in Policing 16th anniversary held this morning in the headquarters garden of remembrance. The laying of wreaths, the focus of the ceremony, was performed by two of the first 6 women to join the police here in the Bahamas.
In the force, they said it was a man's domain and we had no right to be there. So, once we were enlisted, and I was the first to be enlisted, once we were enlisted, we had to work extremely hard, and they made sure of that.
But we were strong and we were brave. And I can see that in our women right now who has came in afterwards. And I am thankful for them. They're doing a great job.
The baton was passed to women like Assistant Commissioner Janet McKenzie, who too said her 34 years in the force did not come with an easy start.
It took me about 4 years to join. Every time I would go, they would tell me I was too short. The last time I went back at the college, I said to them, I said, the man that is measuring me is shorter than I. I think I deserve a chance. Know what you want, prepare yourself for what you want, and go after it.
The search is over for all of your favorite niche food products as Oasis Fresh, a new innovative grocery store, celebrates its grand opening in style at its location in the Lyford Key Commerce Center. The store allowing customers to not just shop in person, but use its mobile app to purchase their favorite grocery items from international brands such as Whole Foods and pick it up at the location. It's what manager and CEO Brandon Burrows says has been a work in progress.
2018, we started Oasis. We started developing everything. We started shipping in items that, you know, a normal freight forwarder would ship in. And it was all right. It started going well. Once 2020 hit, COVID, we found a need for shipping in, you know, produce through Whole Foods. And from there, we decided, you know, to make it more efficient, to speed up the process of delivery, to basically provide a more streamlined service, we created this store. That way, most of the items that you order online, your perishable items, we can have delivered to you same day.
While the storefront is presently offering its services exclusively right here in New Providence, Burrows says that the company is planning on expanding in the near future.
Our goal is to take this concept all throughout the islands. Abaco is our next step. We already have everything in our warehouse ready to go over to Abaco and begin that process. So we're going to open up a store over there, same size, same design as well. And from Abaco, we'll start working on the eastern end of the island as well as central. But, you know, keeping it small, keeping it basically providing you with everything that you need, your essential products, such as your fruit, your produce, your household goods. And with the platform, we can provide you with everything that you want.
Well, Donald Trump has once again stunned the world by pulling off a historic victory in the U.S. presidential election held yesterday. Trump, the Republican candidate, has defeated Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris in what Politico suggested would be a very tight election. Trump has swept key battleground states, becoming the first former president to return to the White House in more than 130 years. And by the way, the oldest man to be elected. Had she been elected, Vice President Kamala Harris would have been the first woman to sit in the Oval Office. President Trump says the economy and immigration matters are his top priorities. It's Wednesday, so our financial advice is on the way when Leno's WealthWise touchdown. Be right back.
Good to grow, keeping you in the know, keeping you in the know. God, that's good enough to eat, that is good to grow. It's good enough to eat, that is good to grow.
Meet Prescott Smith. He's been a part of the fly fishing industry as a guide for over 30 years, and he is a finalist for the Lifetime Achievement Award for the upcoming Anchor Award ceremony on November 16th.
I am grateful for the nomination, but the overall goal to me has always been about how do we empower Bahamians through this industry.
Over the past 30 years, Smith has contributed greatly to the industry.
I am very passionate about developing the industry in terms of Bahamian ownership and to see guides in the industry truly empowered. And we've made some major steps in that journey, getting the legislation passed, legitimizing the guiding profession, getting the key sports fish, bonefish, tarpon, permit, protected. But there are a few final steps that would really seal the foundation for Bahamians to be true owners in our #1 industry. And so we are well on our way there. But one of the key final steps would be that the guides get the various policies put in place that would allow them to get the kind of equipment to operate at the highest standard and to expand the industry.
He adds that his hope is to ensure that Bahamians have ownership in the fly fishing industry.
It extends way beyond just guiding and lodge ownership. It involves the Bahamian artists, it involves the Bahamian scientists, it involves all of the research, so it impacts our entire education system, and the country can reap in the billions of dollars once this industry is developed in that way.
If you want to support Mr. Smith, purchase your tickets today for the Anchor Awards at www.ticketflare.com/Anchor Awards. Tickets are $60 per person. The ceremony kicks off Saturday, November 16th at 7 p.m. at the Bahama Convention Center. Keeping you in the know with Good to Grow, I'm Leah Cooper.
With BGC's crystal clear mobile service, stay connected seamlessly, whether on land or at sea. Our reliable postpaid plans keep your loved ones closer, no matter where life takes you.
And you're looking at a shot here of Potter's Key Dock. Our drone pilot Destiny Reed was out flying tonight. Let's take a flight now over to the Family Islands to see what's happening there.
Family Island News is brought to you by Commonwealth Brewery Limited.
Rock Sound Eleuthera residents in for a brand new airport. Finishing touches are being put on that airport, which will be ready for ribbon cutting and official use in short order. The government is focusing on the needs of our Family Island residents, holding groundbreakings for healthcare facilities on several Family Islands recently, with plans to start construction right away. Congrats to the people of Rock Sound Eleuthera. You deserve it. Marcellus?
All right, well, in tonight's WealthWise segment, we're diving into two specialized types of trust that can play a crucial role in estate planning. Tonight, Leno Corporate Services gives us a look at settler-directed trust and insurance trust, two options that offer flexibility and protection in different ways.
Trusts can be powerful tools in managing and protecting assets for future generations. But with so many types, it's essential to know which might best fit your financial goals.
The first would be a settlor-directed trust. And just as the name implied, the settlor, our client, the person who has assets that is transferred into the trust, that person is going to direct the trustees. They would guide the trustees on the type of investments we would have, and they would also give guidance and direction on how the funds are to be distributed.
Unlike traditional trusts, where a trustee has full control, a settler-directed trust puts more power in the hands of the person who set it up. An insurance trust, on the other hand, is designed specifically to hold a life insurance policy.
At Leno, we want the insurance trust to be used by anyone who wants the protection and the benefits of a trust. And what's the benefit of doing this? With an insurance policy, and usually with your will as well, you have to pay out in lump sums generally. You would pay your beneficiaries precisely in one shot. But with a trust, you can leave your insurance policy with the trust, and the trustee can pay out as you desired.
Both settler-directed and insurance trusts can play important roles in estate planning, each offering unique advantages. Speaking with a financial advisor like those at Leno can help determine which option might best suit your goals and ensure your assets are managed with care. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Diane Dawson.
Well, this one goes deep, 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 and out of here. Hey, the Home Run Derby is back. We'll tell you all the details ahead in sports.
We here at Candid Security offer a varied range of security services, including guard service, we do armored service, we do pre-employment investigation, background checks, also vet people for employment. A live business hosted PBX is extremely important to our operation. I don't have to be in my office. I can easily get connected with our clients, my vendors, my NASA office, and with our employees in the field, anytime, anywhere.
Don't get tricked this Halloween. Treat yourself to the specials at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets. Rainbow corned beef, 12 ounce, $2.15. Nesca yellow grits, 1 pound, $1.39. Kraft mayonnaise, 30 ounce, $6.99. Sweet strawberries, 1 pound, $5.99. Chicken leg quarters, 10-pound bag, $1.19 per pound. Wrap up October with the scary good prices at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets.
Health is the greatest gift. That's where we come in. Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies is a premier distributor of medical equipment, as well as medical and surgical consumables. Our engineers are always on hand, providing top care service that saves lives. We carry a wide selection of over-the-counter and prescription items, IV fluids, and other injections. Our products are state-of-the-art, and our entire team stays on top of cutting-edge technology. With more than 2 decades of dedicated service, Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies continues to be a trendsetter and innovator in healthcare. We have set ourselves apart by truly caring for our customers. We understand the intricacies of healthcare, and we produce spectacular results. We cherish our partnerships and nurture our friendships as we continue on our quest to help everyone maintain that wonderful gift of good health.
Find us on 95th Terrace, Centerville, and now located in the Lucaya Shopping Center of Freeport, Grand Bahama.
Welcome to your ZNS Total Sports Check, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Don't look now, but the Don't Blink Home Run Derby is back once again. Plans announced today at the Bahama Resort for the latest installment of the 7-year event that has become a signature on the local sporting events calendar. Co-founders Todd Isaacs Jr. and Lucius Fox have now seen that derby grow from a 2-day show to a week-long list of activities.
Because when we first started this event, it was just a 2-day event. And the guys came on Thursday, we did a little kids camp, and then the Home Run Derby was on that Saturday, and they left. Now we have a full weekend of events, a full week of events that brings 3 generations of baseball here to experience the Bahamas every year. So if there's no better way to sell the Bahamas, it's what we're doing right now. Getting the young kids from now instilled and ingrained in what it is to be in the Bahamas, so eventually they make the Bahamas one of their homes.
Now, Sports Director Kelsey Johnson Stills, speaking on behalf of the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Mara Bolag, echoed those same sentiments and applauded the Derby's continued growth.
What started as a local favorite on time is now blossoming into a national phenomenon. It's attracting participants and spectators from across the globe. In recent years, the Don't Blink Home Run Derby has become a key highlight of sports tourism calendar, with growing interest from international visitors and investors alike. This is a direct result of the incredible talent showcased on the field and on the sea, the beach in this particular case, and the vibrant atmosphere created by the fans and supporters who make this event so unique.
Local boxing looking to gain some interest in the country with the Courtyard Brawl boxing card set for November 22nd. That's going to be at Fusion Superplex. The card will feature 5 bouts, including 1 female bout, with amateur fighters squaring off under the watchful eyes of team coaches Misha Major for the Red Squad and Jermaine Choo Choo Mackey for Team Blue. And that's it. You look at sports for you here on this beautiful Wednesday. Of course, our Wednesday weather just ahead. Stay with us.
Make your company representative stand out through an embroidery design on your uniforms from Janae's Uniform Center, Chesapeake Road. Janae's utilizes the latest state-of-the-art embroidery technology to monogram large and small quantities of shirts, caps, bags, and other articles. If you don't already have a digitized logo, Janae's can design and digitize your idea and bring it to life. Then install the logo of your choice from their large selections of 27 stock colors of golf shirts in cotton or dry fit, caps, or workwear. Call 394-8385 or 6 or visit www.janaes.com.
Hey, Mom, can you look after Kaylee?
Sorry, I'll be out for a while dealing with my home and car insurance.
What? You know there's a newer way, right?
A new way?
Where have you been?
Look, go to newerinsurance.com, log in, get your quote, buy your insurance, done. You can even use it to manage your claim. Oh? By the way, it's not newer. It's N-U-A. Where's she been?
Do it anyway with NUA Insurance Agents and Brokers.
Even the goblins and ghosts know who saves you the most. It's Super Value and Quality Supermarkets. Distinction Evaporated Milk, 14 ounce, $1.19. Ginger Evans Flour, 5 pounds, $3.69. Iceberg Lettuce, $1.99 each. Boneless chuck roast or steak, $8.99 per pound. Crystal Falls Spring Water, 24-pack, 16.9 ounces, $7.99. Wrap up October with the scary good prices at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets.
It's time now for your Access weather forecast. And Hurricane Raphael, well, it's now pulling off the northwest coast of Cuba. It's packing winds of 105 miles per hour, and we anticipate that it will maintain that intensity as it moves over the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico before some weakening takes place within the next day or two. Now, the forecast track is going to keep it on that westward motion, meaning it will remain away from the Bahamas, but those feeder bands will continue to impact parts of the northwest Bahamas, particularly the western part of New Providence and Andros. But as it pushes towards the west, we look for some clearing, which will take place as of tomorrow. And your boating forecast tonight is brought to you by Live Business, where you're always protected during the worst storms. In the northwestern parts of our country tonight through Friday, east to southeast winds 12 to 18 knots. Wave height is down 3 to 6 feet, but we're still maintaining that caution flag for you. High tide, that will occur at 10:56 tonight, with another high tide at 11:27 tomorrow morning. For the central and southeastern islands through Friday, easterly winds 15 to 20 knots, wave height 4 to 7 feet, with the caution flags also remaining in place. It's going to do it for your boating forecast. It's time now for your international temperatures, and they're brought to you by Royal Star Assurance.
Man, listen, this could be dead long. And he was serious, you know. He mean he won't do nothing. I know what kind of bills he on. So he gonna marry me. Marry you? Not marry me. I would wash his clothes, cook and clean. All he did was complain. He never bought groceries or paid light bill.
And that's going to do it for your international temperatures, brought to you by Royal Star Assurance. But join me at 11 o'clock for a full weather update. Back to you, Marcellus and LaDon.
Hey, thanks a lot, Basil. We'll have clouds this afternoon, and looks like some more rain on the weekend.
I see that coming, Marcellus, but let's turn things over to Matea Cunningham and Let's Talk Socials.
Social media as we know it is becoming a bit silly, wouldn't you agree? I'm Matea, and welcome back to Let's Talk Socials. Today, we're diving into a trend that's been taking TikTok by storm, the suspect trend. Allow me to break it down. No, not break it down as in dancing. I mean, let me explain. In police shows and movies, there's always that scene where officers are on their walkie-talkies describing a potential suspect, what they're wearing, their skin tone, or maybe even their facial features. The twist in this trend, it's usually done between close friends or partners. One person is behind the camera describing their friend or partner in a police suspect style, but using something funny about them in the description. Maybe I'm not painting this picture brightly enough for you. Check out some examples.
Suspect is already out of breath.
Suspect doesn't have a neck.
Suspect needs to call Willy Wonka back.
Suspect can never hit him, they gon' FanDuel.
Oh, wow. Suspect can't cook as good as my mother.
Suspect is 25 years old and takes a bubble bath every single day.
Suspect's on the run. She has no friends.
Suspect on the run. He says he doesn't want a beard, but really he can't grow one.
Let's be honest. It's hilarious. Are you planning to try this with your bestie, co-worker, partner, or even your parents? We'd love to see it. I'm Matea, and this has been Let's Talk Social.
All right, good job, Matea. By the way, I'm still waiting, BPL, waiting for my phone call 4 hours later. That's a wrap for us tonight, though,
Wow.
LaDawn.
See you right back here tomorrow. Stay tuned for the rundown, which starts up next.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
From June 1st to November 30th, the ZNS Radio and Television Network is the #1 source in the Bahamas for hurricane information before, during, and after a storm. Now is the time to choose your radio and television hurricane season ad packages. Get extra special rates and run the ads only when you want them to run. Call the ZNS sales office today at 502-3800.
We are here in the time of need. There's no discrimination. The mission is to relieve the suffering. We volunteer, we deliver care. With donors and partners, we're always here to turn compassion into action. Protecting life and health with our training throughout the year. We empower to heal the world. There is hope, assistance with disasters. There is shelter and love for our people. We can work together to help those in need. So volunteer with us and donate to show you care. There is hope, assistance with disasters. There is shelter and love for our people. We can work together to help those in need. So volunteer with us and donate to show you care. Together, let's build a more resilient Bahama. Community farming for food security. Climate programs suited for our island country. Together, let's build a more resilient Bahama.
This message brought to you by the Bahamas Red Cross Society in conjunction with the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
What does disability look like? In a busy airport terminal, at the check-in counter, at security checkpoints, or even in baggage claim? Passengers with hidden disabilities often go unnoticed. Globally, 1 in 7 persons have some form of a disability. 80% of those disabilities are non-visible. In an airport environment, workers are often unaware of hidden physical, mental, or neurological disabilities that some passengers live with. This can lead to frustration and a less than ideal travel experience. So, how do we make the invisible more visible? At LPIA, we've implemented the Sunflower Lanyard program. The lanyards are visual cues for airport workers to immediately identify passengers who might need additional assistance. NAD is teaming up with the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities and key stakeholders at LPIA to launch the internationally recognized initiative. We're joining more than 180 airports and 26 countries already in the program. NAD is the first organization in the Bahamas to recognize the Sunflower Initiative. It's a way to show our continued commitment to making LPIA a safe, welcoming, and inclusive airport for all. Passengers needing to secure a free Sunflower lanyard can email sunflower@nas.bs or call 1242-397-8600. For more information, visit www.nassauLPIA.com.
At the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium, I'm Marcellus Hall. This is ZNS.
The Rundown is brought to you by Commonwealth Brewery Limited.
Good evening. This is The Rundown. I'm Julian Reed, sitting in this week for Clint Watson. Well, the world is calling him the comeback kid. Yes, we are talking about the American billionaire businessman Donald Trump, who was elected as president again, this time as the 47th president of the United States of America. Now, according to the Associated Press, Trump secured 295 electoral votes, defeating his opponent, Democratic candidate Vice President Kamala Harris, who had 226 votes. Now, the Associated Press online confirms that Vice President Harris has congratulated President-elect Trump on his election victory, while Trump's campaign says he has accepted President Biden's invitation to meet at the White House to discuss the presidential transition. No date's been announced yet, but Trump's team say it will take place very shortly. Hundreds of world leaders sending congratulations to the U.S. President-elect via social media, including our own Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, who underscored the existing working relationship between the Bahamas and the United States and expressed optimism about the future of the relationship between our two countries, with President Trump at the helm in the United States. And Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell echoes the Prime Minister's sentiments, saying he hopes the diplomatic relationship both countries share continues for years to come. Well, we have another hour-long discussion tonight of last night's U.S. elections. University of the Bahamas Executive Vice President Dr. Ian Strawn and Group CEO for Fidelity Bank and Trust International, Gowan Bow. We bet you it's going to be a really exciting discussion tonight as we take a look at what happened and what it will mean for the Bahamas. Stay with us. The Rundown continues right after the break.
Hey y'all, what's up?
Hey, what's that?
What y'all getting?
Listen, I've been waiting to march down some lobster, yeah?
Hi, I'm Matthew. I will be you guys waiter today. Can I take your order?
Oh, I've been chewing some for some grouper dread.
Y'all see this?
See, this ain't gonna work.
Where the fish gone, though?
But how, though?
Don't leave our children with no fish in their future. Protect our sea. Protect our way of life. Protect the Bahamas. To learn how you can help, find us on Facebook at Bahamas Protected. See the future.
Hardware is the helpful place. Everything you need under one roof, from electrical, paint, plumbing, outdoor, barbecue, automotive, lawn and garden, pet supply, houseware, and seasons. Hurricane season is now here, so for all your hurricane needs, we have a 25% off bargain zone.
Hey, thanks. I would have given more stuff, but I didn't bring my money. I thought this was a club, and I thought everything was free. Finally know what it is now.
Ace. We're located on St. Albans Drive, West Bay Street. Open Monday to Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and closed for lunch 2 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Welcome back. Now, were you one of the Bahamians who stayed up all night last night just to watch the coverage of the U.S. elections? And at the end of it, were you related, or were you one of those who were just sucking their teeth with disgust? Anyway, we're going to talk about last night, and we're going to talk about the future. Here in their personal capacities, Gowan Bowe and Dr. Ian Strawn. Welcome.
Well, I don't know. You may be, your friends are the ones who get you in trouble, right?
Well, you know, I didn't even bother to stay up last night. I got up at 4 a.m. and I said, I don't know, there was some excitement for me in some lead up to the actual election, but last night it was just like even before the actual results were known, it was just like an anticlimax for me. How was it for both of you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the insertion of Kamala Harris instead of Biden definitely animated the race and got people hopeful and excited. But then the polls, after a time that plateaued and the polls just wouldn't move. And so those who were close observers would probably say, look, this is going to be a repeat of the last time, of 2016, and that's exactly what happened. I have to admit I allowed myself to hope that might not have been the case, but as the evening wore on, it became obvious that's what's going to happen for me. So,
yeah, the idea of possible change with a woman and a black and Asian woman leading the United States was probably just a little bit too optimistic. Huh?
Well, I think, what it was, the good side of it was we have our own national issues, and it was a distraction for most Bahamians, right? And I say that from the perspective that, and some positive elements. The Kamala Harris campaign raised a lot of money. When we think economically, that has a good impact for us because that money would have been spent. And there's an opportunity for that, for us to be the beneficiary, whether it's through tourism and other initiatives that we do with it. Bahamians, interestingly, have a very strong leaning towards Democrats, and we may not have a full appreciation why, but it's largely because their political philosophy is very much aligned with a lot of the Bahamians who went through majority rule. And so they see the benefit of, I'm going to say, the socialism. But the reality is the Bahamas has always done better under Republican governments because we are an open economy that is international financial center, and so therefore the capitalist philosophy is one that better aligns with us. So it was interesting. Let me put it that way.
I hope that's what it is, because if it is, that would make sense.
I mean, I don't disagree with Gowan, but I think there's also there's a sector of Bahamians who, because of their religious beliefs, because of identify with the Republican Party and its stance against abortion, against gay rights, etc. Right? So there are Bahamians rooting and who are happy for Trump.
No, there were a lot who were rooting for a lot of my friends I know.
Yeah, definitely. And then the other thing you said is that we were looking at Kamala for a chance at change, but I actually don't know that that's what. Clearly, that's not what the American public was thinking. They were thinking the change was we've had 4 years of Biden. We want something else.
And
so,
they saw her just as a continuation of Biden.
Yeah, I don't think she could really separate herself from the administration she'd been a part of.
If we're candid, neither candidate during the process really articulated very well what their plans were. But I think she needed to do more of it, just for what Ian said. Persons kind of said, I know what Trump is. Whether I like him, hate him, I know him. Kamala, the question was, and her whole campaign was very scripted, is the way I would describe it.
Yeah.
Meaning that there was very little impromptu interview or impromptu engagement. It was on the stage, it was with persons who were already sort of structured in how she would be asked questions, how she would answer questions. And the reality is, I think politics is still one where people have to relate to you.
That's a good observation. Right? And they were protecting her.
Exactly.
They were protecting her from herself.
And that's what I say.
And that when she went off the script, that she would she would do herself serious damage.
Now maybe that was a disservice to her because Joe Biden, came out of the race so late, and so she was never preparing herself for it. But that in and of itself is one that you have to be concerned with. If you are going to lead, you should always be preparing yourself to lead.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, obviously the Democrats usually have Hollywood and the media on their side for the most part, the vast majority.
Right.
And you think there's just this complete distrust of the media. And a lot of the work that Trump has done in sort of saying that, the media is never fair to me, they've never done me correct.
It's fascinating. I mean, I think that Trump is actually anti-establishment. He's an anti-establishment conservative billionaire. So in the sense that he resonates with people in America who feel as if they are displaced and they are no longer at the center.
Outsiders?
Yes, even though they have privilege, white privilege, they're threatened by immigration. They're threatened by these laws that secularize America and that create a greater equality for people, that offends their religious beliefs and so on. And they also look skeptically at Washington, D.C. And so on. And so he takes advantage of that as this sort of strongman character, and you see that around the world too, resonating, right? So in India with Modi and.
But it's amazing that they were willing to actually sort of, turn a blind eye to all of the negativity about him, and there's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Some things.
But I think it goes back to the devil, right? So what he did very successfully was he never denied the negativity. He said that it was orchestrated.
Except for the Stormy Daniels thing.
Well, but even if you think about the way he denied that, right? It was an aspect like, I wasn't aware of what was happening. He didn't say that the elements that led to it. He just said, I did not instruct that. But, and I just find with him, the one aspect that he, to the point that you mentioned, he looked for the fears, he accentuated the fears, and then said, I will be the one to, if you will, address it. And the media has done itself its own disservice, because sometimes it is biased. Sometimes when you look at what is presented on the media, it seems to be trying to persuade persons in a particular lifestyle or in a particular thought process, as opposed to simply being objective communication and allowing people to form their views. So when you feel like someone is kind of imposing their views on you, you naturally have a distrust. And he realized that there was far more of that, and particularly to his base, when, it was said that he did all of these negative things, he could say, well, this is a conspiracy, and he knew that would resonate.
And I think also too, when you look at Trump, you have to think about his predecessors. You should think about George W. Bush. You should even think about like a weird guy named Ross Perot. You got to go back a long time.
Wow, that's going back.
There's a certain type of maverick, renegade type of personality, almost, yes, a little bit of a clown, of a buffoon type, where he's relatable. People can laugh at him. People can, when he mispronounces something or he says something that's not accurate, it humanizes him in a way. And then there's a certain large portion of the American population that likes that he doesn't come off as pretentious or overly intellectual or condescending, right? And so his flaws actually make him in a way appealing. And then his machismo, because if you look at the gender divide in the voting. And males voted more for Trump.
And black men didn't vote for Kamala at all.
Exactly. So there's this part of this that's about high school educated versus college educated. It's about urban versus rural. It's about Christian versus non-Christian, but it's also this gender thing. So in a way, if you think about it, it's a patriarchal society, right? So Trump represents that. And so there's a lot of that's going to be forgiven. But we shouldn't think America is special in that way. Look at your own society.
So really, all the womanizing issues really just make people say, yeah, that's a real man.
Yes. I mean, it offends millions. Don't get me wrong. 67 million people voted for Kamala Harris. Let's not try to pretend like every American is okay with the things he's done.
No.
But clearly, there are enough people who don't care about that. They care more about the culture war. They care more about the values that he seems to want to represent. Doesn't matter, he put his name on the Bible. you know, and try to commercialize that. They resonate with those messages and their lifestyle, and they think he stands for that.
I'm going to stop you right there, Ian. We're going to take a quick break, but we're continuing. Stay with us. Ian Strawn, Gowan Bo. We're talking about the U.S. elections and President-elect Trump.
That's the bear of the Bahamas. I like to go down. Oh yeah.
Our company offers a simple philosophy, open hands. What do open hands mean? If you keep your hands closed, nothing comes in, nothing goes out. If you keep your hands open, a lot of things comes in, a lot of things goes out. We cannot expect to be a successful company without blessing our community and blessing our country.
My good friend and valued client, Dominic Stirrup, approached me following a meeting we had and told me of the idea that he had of feeding 10,000 Bahamians on Thanksgiving.
There was a lot of details to put together, had to figure out how to get it done. But at the end, it was worth it. At the end, it gave me a heart of gratitude to know that our company is reaching out to so many persons.
We invite you on a journey to witness an extraordinary chapter in the story of the Bahamas Striping Group of Companies, a tale of compassion, unity, and the true spirit of Thanksgiving.
Got termites and need to get rid of them fast? Trust Rent-A-Kill Initial. With over 60 years experience in the Bahamas, the global brand, training, and expertise can't be beat. Only Rent-A-Kill Initial gives you a 3-year warranty and payment plan options on termite fumigation. No one can match the range of treatments we offer, such as fumigation, pre-construction treatments, termite monitoring, and more. No matter where you are in the Bahamas, we will come to you. When it comes to complete termite eradication, there's only one name, Rent-A-Kill Initial.
Continuing our talk with Ian Strawn and Gowan Bo. And, of course, Trump is back, or will be back in the White House. I found it very interesting how the automatic switch from a really abrasive campaign on both sides, him and his VP, who said some really crazy things, to like, oh, it's just time for us to get together and unite. Yeah. Let's just be one.
Yeah.
Do you buy that?
No, I don't. I think it's commendable that they
said it.
Said it.
Yeah.
Right. It's the right thing to say, but I think there is a definite fascist streak in Trump, a dictator streak. So in consistent with that, you can look at it throughout the world. He has his own like mob, his own rabble rousers, his own Tonton Maku, if you will, in the Proud Boys and others. And he's weaponized a lot of angry, disaffected white men, you know, with weapons in the past. And I wouldn't be surprised if things get tough during his tenure, if people start scoring major points against him and someone's really giving him body blows, he won't say something on Twitter or X or whatever it's called, and someone does something to intimidate or to try to, you know, to send a message. I don't think he's beyond that. If he can pull off January 6th, he can definitely mobilize that during these 4 years. We should expect it.
Is he going to have time to do that, though? Because he's going to have such a big agenda, not just national.
Well, his first agenda is making sure that everything that he's been charged with goes away.
Well, that's true.
All the people who are his friends don't end up in jail. So that's true. Those are his priorities, right?
What about the ones he wants to send to jail?
And those who attacked him pay for it, right?
But I think, you know, I take I guess, a less cynical view in the sense that I think that the reality is the world as we know it today, with the information age, etc., mandates that certain things happen and are not carrying us back to what I'm going to call slavery or carrying us back to the overt oppression, right? So whether he's a unifier or not, I think is secondary. He has to give that impression, because I think he's smart enough to recognize he's not only president for his base, but to the point he will use his base to ensure that he is insulated and protected. But if he does things it's impossible for him to do things only for his base.
But Gowan, he has the Senate and the House now, doesn't he?
Well, the checks and balances, and that's the part that I think when we think about
and the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and that gives him unilateral authority, which is a dangerous.
You got to remember the people around him. Bannon, his boy, just got out of prison, and the first thing he told the media was, "Well, you thought it was divisive before. You're going to see divisive this time around." I mean, you know, some people.
I think a lot depends on the quality of the professionals in the government of the United States, in the Justice Department, in the Defense Department, in the military, in the FBI, etc.
If he keeps them and allows them to do their jobs.
That was a problem before. Remember how he behaved toward Fauci, who was trying to save lives, and he turned him into an enemy, right? So that's going to be key, those citizens being professionals and standing up for the integrity of their institutions, because he's going to test that.
I'm sure.
He did it before. There's no reason to believe he won't try to do it.
Yeah, he's not going to change.
Yeah,
you can't see it.
And that's why I said there's some positive and negatives that we have to look at. When we had presidents that did not have the Senate and the House, and they were divided, you found ineffectiveness because they just could not get anything done.
Right.
So there's an upside that says, okay, well, if you have the houses, then, okay, there's a possibility of getting it done. Now, equally, if you have the wrong character who takes that to the state of authoritarianism and is really saying it's my way only and there's no checks and balances. It was interesting when they were talking about the Senate race, and they were saying why the GOP wanted to have 52, because they have some within their ranks that they expect will depart from him, particularly even in the cabinet choices. So I think there's evidence that there are people who are willing, even within his party, to oppose. Now, they realize that has to be very strategic. You cannot simply oppose for opposing's sake, and you cannot not know who's behind you. So this is one of those that don't go where everyone rousing you up to say, let's go to fight, and then when you throw the first blow, no one behind you, right? So they're going to have to be careful. But I think, now he will not respond kindly to that. But the reality is, to the point that Ian made, I think America has to decide, are they truly the beacon that they wish to be for the rest of the world? Or are they going to, if you will, implode by virtue of seeing the other powerhouses that are emerging that do not have this sort of insurrection and this level of chaos, etc., and are they going to be willing to allow their internal fights to see, someone outside surpass them? And whilst it may be, I said I wasn't cynical at first. I am cynical to this point. I will say
come on around to my side. Come on over here. It's okay.
Money drives everything where the United States is concerned.
Yeah, and that's the interesting
thing. The reality is prosperity.
He was backed by several billionaires, including Elon Musk, who I understand maybe not a cabinet position, but definitely get a special advisory position. And then what's also interesting is that there were about 5 others who are billionaires, and all of them come from South Africa. I don't know what that means.
But you got a feeling. I think that again, the Republicans have always been for smaller government, less regulation, less taxes. So that's, all of those things are music to Elon Musk's ears, right? The Democrats, particularly Biden, was very pro-union. All right, that's something that a lot of the billionaires, big corporate heads didn't like that at all. And so there are reasons you can find for why Musk actually flipped and became a Trump supporter, because he wasn't always a Trump supporter.
No, he wasn't. No.
So that's kind of what's going on there. So it's a real interesting amalgamation of reasons why people have backed Trump. And you talked about the emergence of those other nations to take dominance in the world. And you talk about China, you talk about, obviously Russia's always been there. And so that's also part of why many Americans want a strong, strong man leader, right?
I'm not going against you.
Yeah, so the appeal of Ronald Reagan and George Bush and now Trump is just that, right? So cowboy or in this case, fake pro wrestler.
Why grimace like that was because the little man from North Korea came to my mind. But that's his buddy too, right?
Yeah. So, right, so that's interesting. I mean,
and that has implications for us here.
Exactly.
And sometimes Bahamians get too caught up in the reality TV component and not enough on, well, what are the real geopolitical issues? So let's talk about the China-U.S. trade war, geopolitical war, the ones that are there. You know, I was taught by a mentor when I was coming up in the profession, said when two elephants fight, the only thing get trampled is the grass. And, you know, I say the Bahamas isn't even the grass, we the soil, right? So the reality is we have friendships with China and the United States.
Absolutely.
We've seen that tested when we talk about the UN Security Council and where they expect the vote to be in terms of certain, and don't believe it's one-sided. Both of those powerhouses exert their influence over our political leaders by saying, look at what I've done for you, and therefore I expect some compensation for certain things that are done. But we have, in very real terms, telecommunications. Trump arresting the Huawei executives, right? Created what became the immense standoff between them because Huawei, for all intents and purposes, whilst it may be called a private enterprise, you know, certainly has very strong party ties. And so from that perspective, when you say, well, what would be the value proposition for our communications companies, Huawei may be the better position, but can we even consider them? And then when we look at the alternate and we say, well, okay, the United States doesn't want us to use certain vendors. And I use them only as one example. There are other Chinese vendors because how many Bahamians do you know in their stores in terms of what they are acquiring, what they are purchasing and bringing? When you start to see the trade wars and you're now trying to put them on vessels that are registered in territories where the U.S. has influence, etc., is that going to impact our commerce, right? And so when we hear the statements by our government officials saying that we hope that things are not interrupted, we know that that's a little bit of a placating statement because they know things will be interrupted. And we are not in a position to drive it otherwise. We have to be ready to kind of react to it. And sometimes it's a little bit of us being a bit bolder than we have been in the past and saying, well, you know, if you're asking us to pick between two friends, I know when I was a child, when you had to pick between two friends, it was which one had the best house, right? So which one offered you the most in terms of whether it was entertainment, whether it was games. So if you're inviting, both of you have invited me into your home, then you know which one has Atari, which one has Nintendo, which one has a bigger yard, and
we've always been pragmatic about
but we have to be very. We have to be very discerning because we are not making decisions any longer that have no consequence.
That's true.
When we make a decision, yes, even if it is just the slightest, you know, we have to be mindful of who do we offend and how do we really stay, you know, middle of the road, which is very, very difficult.
We've been quite good at doing that, though.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that there's, I mean, I think Chinese approach of soft power has allowed them to infiltrate all sorts of spaces in the developing world,
Caribbean,
and especially in the Caribbean, but also Africa, and that's happened. Americans have watched it happen, right? So the Chinese are prepared to spend money the Americans aren't prepared to spend in these territories, right? So it is going to be interesting. I can't do better than Gowan's analysis there of the implications in terms of the U.S.-China trade war.
And
I think the other element that we want to watch, of course, is how it affects the cost of living generally in terms of what happens to Russia and Ukraine conflict. Because obviously I don't expect things are going to be very good for the Ukrainians that Trump is president.
I don't think so.
Right, and I think that a lot of people who may have been angry with the U.S. government over its position with Israel will find that Trump is actually a fan of strongman Netanyahu.
Oh, yeah.
He's a fan of all strongmen, whether they lead democracies or not.
Netanyahu is getting worse and worse as each day turns.
Exactly. So he's pro-Israel. So so that's going to be interesting. So there's going to be a lot of dominoes falling, and it'll be interesting to see how we're a small place and how we're affected by all of these things. And whereas I agree, Republicans, because of their tax views, that would benefit us because of the way we're organized. We'll wait to see how it affects us in other ways because of those conflicts on the other side of the Atlantic.
Gentlemen, we have to take another break. Stay with us. We'll be back with more right after this.
Beginning Monday, September 16th, it's the new lineup of ZNS News and Current Affairs, 6 p.m. It's What's Trending, Lifestyles in the Afternoon with Stacey Campbell Marshall, 6:30. We head to the north for the Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition, 7 p.m. It's the Bahamas Tonight National Report, followed by the Bahamas Tonight Access, now at 7:30. Then at 8 p.m., your nightly news analysis show, The Rundown, with Clint Watson, and 11 p.m., the Bahamas Tonight at 11 with Royston Jones. It's a full lineup of the new ZNS, and it starts Monday, September 16th. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
Clint Watson has been the trusted voice of journalism for over 2 decades. He is your first choice for hard-hitting discussions, your best choice for current affairs issues and investigative journalism. It's time to start the journey of relentless journalism. It's time to start the journey of facts over fiction. It's time for The Rundown with Clint Watson here on ZNS, where only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
Welcome back. Ian Strong, we'll continue with you because you were making a point just before the break.
So I was just thinking about all the different ways that this will play out in terms of geopolitics and the economics of it. We also have to think about climate. Prime Minister Brave Davis has been doing a superb job on the world stage.
On the world stage, yeah.
Very, very strong in terms of his messaging about climate impacts on developing countries, on countries that are most vulnerable, like us. The Republicans have not really been on that climate change bandwagon, and Glenn, you know, so how is that going to play out now? Now with Trump on the world stage, I am kind of skeptical about climate justice really being something that we could benefit from over the next 4 years.
And America and China have always been the big ones that have
the violators.
Yeah. But I think you now start to see. So you could ask the question like, what did Florida do? And it may have been the lead up into the elections. They started getting hit, right? And so, the one thing I will say this much, Mother Nature is certainly far stronger than any strong man, right? And there are certain realities that when you see, even if you don't buy into the wider discussion, there are certain elements that you say, but there's been intensity. Even if you have some conspiracy theory that says this is man-made and is being driven, which we've heard
of course,
people saying. But equally, I think it's very important to understand what is going to be his policy position in terms of foreign policy position, because America is large enough to stand on its own, meaning that in most other territories, even the larger ones, they need support. Interestingly, when you said we talk about China and the U.S., who's the largest holder of U.S. debt?
Yeah,
it's China, right? So and this is why I say money or commerce and economics always has intertwined and is woven into the decisions that are being made. We just don't always see it very clearly. And you saw, there was a period of time when a lot of the law firms were being taken over by China, meaning they were buying the equity interest in a lot of the U.S. law firms, etc. So there are a lot of what I'm going to say, planted scenarios that already exist, and if we want to call them sleepers, etc. So, you know, I think it is easy, we always know it's easy in opposition to say the things you will do, and then when you come into power, the reality is set in. And we know that he's of an arrogant nature such that, you know, he will dismiss if it's still not his view. But equally to the professionals that you're speaking about that are saying that, look, you may be fine in your bubble and cocoon, but if you do these certain things, this is the impact it's going to even have to your base. So we have to think, you know, how are we going to make certain strategic decisions? The problem is if we listen, so we know, what was it, his manifesto 2025 or whatever it is, you know, had some very extreme views.
You're talking about Project 2025, which he has nothing to do with?
Well, you know, so I said manifesto. You said, you know, but what I mean is it had some very extreme, you know, I didn't read it, but I know.
I haven't read it.
I know the concepts that came out of it and emerged, right, which are very dangerous when you say that there would be the removal of checks and balances. But if I go and use the tax, the inclusive framework, which is the OECD initiative around harmful tax practices, the United States has never bought into that, meaning under Republican administrations. The Bahamas' blacklisting commenced under Democrat governments where they were basically saying that we want to collect all taxes of Americans wherever they are in the world, but the world started adopting that. And now I can tell you that, you know, if we went back 8 years, the change in government had a consequence where they're saying, I don't know if this will proceed, because if the United States is not on board, then we don't have sufficient, if you will, power to move it forward. Now the world has moved on. So whether the United States is a party to it or not, the remainder of the OECD is not going to back off this inclusive framework. And we've seen that we've not been, if you will, blacklisted by the United States in a very long period of time, but we see all of the European states that one did so as a bloc, and then now that the EU has removed this, we see individual states within Europe that have continued to do so. So we need to ask ourselves as an international financial center as well, what is our policy? And this is where I say we have to stop being reactive and be a bit more proactive. Even though he doesn't like taxes, is he going to remove corporate taxes and income tax? No, because that's a model that all he's going to do is create the exemptions and loopholes. But that policy is still going to stay.
As a financier, we just passed the DMTT, the domestic top-up tax bill.
Yeah.
Good thing, bad thing, what?
You know, and this is my personal view, is that I think when I look at the Bahamas' current tax system as a consumption-based tax system, I ask three questions. Is it equitable? The answer is no, because it's regressive. It has a greater burden on those who are behind us. Does it provide sufficient revenue for us to pay our bills?
No.
No, we've not had a fiscal surplus since independence. And then finally, does it allow us to compete on the world stage? And the answer to that is no, because we're continuing blacklisted. So, you know, when they say, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, it broke, right? And it's very clearly broken. And so we have to fix it. So my personal view is, and one that I have no reservation in expressing in all of the political quarters, et cetera, is we need to move to a progressive system of taxation. I strongly believe, now I will be the first one to hold my hand up, economic philosophy is capitalism. That is me. I am. But I do have the moral standing to say that I am my brother's keeper. And so I believe that you render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. That I pay based on my capacity to pay, not based on my consumption, where the person who's earning less than me may consume not very much less, and they're paying a much higher proportion. And so my view is that we need to move to a progressive tax system, both for corporations and individuals, because, and even if you talk to the average man on the street, their reticence or their resistance is they see it as another tax being added. And the message that I am preaching is not that. It's a removal of our current system with a reform and replacement that says everyone will pay the same percentage, with those who are least among us having greater exemption on their income, and then we get those who have the capacity to pay more. Now, there are many in our own governments who don't hold that view, right? And even though they may not say it publicly, there are many who still hold the view, much like the capitalists in the United States that have a very strong view of the Adam Smith theory of free market economics, right? That let the strong survive and take out the weak, right? There's a very big faction that has that view. I think, you know, as society globally, we recognize the need to make sure that there's no man left behind, but there's a balance that has to be struck that says you do not discourage entrepreneurship by bleeding. One of our very successful entrepreneurs in this country once said something to me that has stuck with me. He said, Gowan, the day that I pay more to the government in taxes than I take home in profit is the day I give them the keys. And that was a very telling statement, because it wasn't saying that he was averse to paying taxes. He was saying that I've put my money up at risk.
Don't overtax me, yeah.
So if I put my money up at risk, if you're taking more from my business than I am earning, then that's a discouragement to investment. And that's the balance we have to strike.
It's interesting, you know, this whole issue is one of the ironies of Trump's success, because once he's evaded taxes, but beyond that, he doesn't want to pay. And neither does that 1% want to pay, not enough of them, their fair share. But they've been able to get the political support of the people who least benefit, you know, from the system, who are at the bottom rung in terms of quality of education, quality of health care. All of those protections and benefits that come from a just taxation system, he doesn't really support. But he's been able to capture their imagination around ideology, around culture, around values, and get their eye off the ball of how they actually meet out in existence. Now there is one other part of it, and that is, of course, those areas of the American economy that have been phased out or, you know, have died because of changes. Those people feel lost completely. And he does resonate with them too. American jobs and all the rest of it. That does hit home that does make sense to them economically.
That's why they want all the immigrants to stay away and go back home.
That's a part of it, yeah.
But just in channel, one of the Florida channels today, they're saying, yeah, if you send these people home, who's going to do all the agricultural work? It means that you're going to pay more in the food stores. Of course, yeah. And of course, if you've got to pay more there, we're going to pay more here.
Yeah.
But if you listen to, and this is one, you know, not being a political strategist, but if you listen to the Democratic Party or the Democrat Party, they did not hear the cries of the persons that said they were worse off economically.
Yeah.
And they didn't respond to that. So interestingly enough, as you say, Trump's, okay, those of us who invest should not pay. But what he was also saying is, but I'm going to get those of you who are on the lower rungs more money.
Yeah.
Because if you allow me not to pay taxes, I am going to expand. I am going to invest. I am going to grow the economy. It is going to be so more opportunities. It's going to be so buoyant, right? That you will get. Now, he didn't make it clear that you will always be the worker. And your opportunity to become the entrepreneur, to become the owner, is going to still be marginalized. He didn't, you know, make it that clear. However, I think the big thing that he said was, I am going to grow the economy, and to the point that you made, I'm going to bring American jobs back. I am going to effectively put so many tariffs on those that are imports that it will make it almost cost prohibitive for us to do certain things. So he spoke things that spoke to people's pockets. And I go back to what I say, everything comes down to economics for them, because he allowed them to at least have the sense that I will be better off. And the Democrats did not hear, and it was as an outsider, even traveling to the United States, when you spoke to individuals in the United States, you heard them saying that my cost of living, my discretionary income, I just do not feel better off. And so he was able to better talk to that than his opponent, who was really saying, well, he doesn't want to tax billionaires. Well, you know what? People were saying, I don't care who he taxes if it's better for me.
All right, well, listen, we're going to have to take a break there. But when we get back, let's take a look at if it really was better and if it was because of Trump when he was last in office. Stay with us. More to come after this.
I like the bear of the Bahamas. I like to go down. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Agent, before we send you out in the world, we must make sure that your mission is intact. Yes, ma'am. Agent 1, what is a touch? Physical contact, ma'am. Agent 2, what is a good touch? Touches that make you feel alright, ma'am. Such as a high five, a handshake, even a kiss, ma'am. Good. Now, Agent 3, what is a bad touch? Touches that make you feel not so good, ma'am. Like a slap, a kick, a pinch, and most important, if someone touches your private part. And what do we do when someone gives us a bad touch? You tell a trusted adult, ma'am, for help, ma'am. Tell them, don't do that, ma'am. Agent, I see that you understand. Now it's your mission to spread this information. Just remember that good touches are okay, and bad touches are not okay. So, Agent, go spread the word. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Dr. Gale, and I'm inviting you to be a part of a journey where we open the Word of God to receive strength, to receive empowerment from the Scriptures as they have been written. Get your Bibles, get your cup of coffee or your tea, because this journey is gonna be great. This is your day of victory.
Welcome back. It's our final segment. Time really flies when you're having fun. Garbo and Ian Strawn, all you hear now is saying, oh, they can't wait for Trump to fix it. He's going to fix everything. And he says he's going to fix everything. But what was it really like in his first term? The economy may have been good, but was it his efforts that really made it good?
You know, it's one of those, though, you ask the question, is it better to be good or to be lucky? Right? And so he was, you know, a beneficiary of the times. And the reality was that the U.S. economy, much like the rest of the global economy, had really been shook up so much in the 2008 Great Recession that it took an extended period of time for there to be the natural progression in terms of the incline. And so he came largely on the back of that. If we are objective in the ones there, Obama had a very difficult time. He was very personable, very charismatic, but in terms of policy position and getting the ability to get things through, he had a very difficult time. And so a lot of things that he conceptualized and set into motion, you know, we've had a former prime minister said, you know, some will sow and some will reap, right? And Trump simply was in the right position to be reaping some of the seeds that had been sown. So I think it's a little bit a difficult one to say, well, was it his policy or was it the times? And the reality is, do you need to separate them? Because, you know, the mark of a man is not where he stands in times of good, but when he stands in times of difficulty. And that's what people are now judging their political class on. That don't tell me, you know, if you happen to be in the right place at the right time, then luck on you. If you're in the wrong place, there's no excuse anymore. It's saying, well, you said you were able to do so. And now, for him, to be perfectly honest, it's going to be seen whether or not he is the one who creates the economic boost, or really the last time he was just in the right place, because the economic environment in the United States is so complex, with high interest rates, still stubborn inflation that is being reduced, the whole geopolitical initiatives that are having them on the front line, these wars that we're talking about in commodities, and the black market that is emerging in terms of what's coming through. So, you know, exiting all immigrants is not going to be the answer when you need productivity. Right?
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think the Barack Obama bailouts, the banks, the housing market, the cars, the airlines, he had to bail out all of those, right? So the car industry, all the rest of it. So he definitely benefited from that. And I think, but we also have to give him some credit, because he is he's a businessman, and so and was not a career politician before that, and so you can imagine he comes with some novel approaches. I think perhaps we benefited from that during the COVID fight because of how he was open to doing things differently to get all of the talent and all of the industry working to find a solution. He doesn't get a lot of...
Although it came with some silliness.
Yeah, he was crazy with it, but he can't take credit for it, for producing a world's, saving, drug in record time.
Happen.
That happened under him.
It did happen.
You know, the bleach comments aside, right? So there's that. And then also, too, I think his approach to China was one that the Democrats, they didn't reverse it, right? So there's some ways that he did come with a out of left field kind of, we're going to do something different approach to things that was beneficial. So we'll see if he still has that in his pocket, if he can still pull that off. I think Biden takes a blow for things that he didn't start the Ukraine-Russian war, although he's been bankrolling that war. Biden has been, right? Yeah. So we'll see. I think that's going to come to a close and Russians are going to get what they want.
I think so.
And so that, in that way, Trump will have a hand in changing what people are paying for at the pumps and all the rest of it.
What's also going to be interesting, too, is how he deals with NATO, because, he's always been clashing.
Well, he's pretty much said he has no regard for it in the sense that it is a club and one that he's not a part of, right? So,
but he's paying for it.
Yeah,
that's his main problem.
That's what he said. Everyone better step up.
Yes, exactly.
The ones there. But, it's one of, again, it goes back to saying that the reality is economic policies take a significant period of time in order to be felt. And so you're not actually abundantly clear as to whose policy is coming to fruition oftentimes. You know what the policy was that initiated certain elements, right? And so you can sort of draw correlation and say that I believe that these are the results. But, it requires decision making. And the one thing you do give him is this. He will make a decision even if it's blatantly wrong, and he's then going. So his own is, look, it's better I make the wrong decision and then have a chance to start correcting it than to keep meandering along and not doing so. And I think that's
and the irony is, too, he probably will benefit from some of what Biden has done, investment in infrastructure. Once you get rid of the pressures on inflation, but that money is still being spent in all of these areas, he'll probably be the beneficiary of it.
And that is the irony. That the truth of the matter is, I think that when you look at what he's coming into now, the question that they have, and we face here in the Bahamas as well, is where is the next growth going to come from? So what are the industries? We saw the digital asset industry, go through its crypto winter and have some very significant ones, because that was seen as a new, if you will, MAGA type initiative, right? That this was innovation at its height and its best, and so that is challenged. Their industrial sector is challenged, and so in terms of technology, even though they talk about the semiconductor, and we don't even think about these small little things, where they came from, and to the point where they're saying Silicon Valley now, we can't rely on the import, right? But all of the countries are doing it. China is now saying, well, we can't import from certain parties, so we're going to start developing these as well.
That's why they want Taiwan too, because all of
the raw material. But it's one of saying that I think the one message I would say coming out of the United States election is Bahamians can no longer be asleep at the wheel. That we cannot bank on good fortune. We have to be a bit more proactive, or not a bit, we have to be far more proactive in terms of developing our strategy and then being strategists to understand the world around us and how that feeds into what we're doing. If we continue to sit back and just wait until the, if you will, scraps of the wider economy, global economy, fall to us, I think we are going to fall victim to much less success than we've had in the past. And so we need to look at this as an opportunity of saying, my grandfather said one thing that is very telling, and it was about our politics. And he made the example, and he used to be at the airport. He said, when Pinland came off the plane, I kissed him. When Ingram came off the plane, I kissed him. When Christie came off the plane, I kissed him. And people say, well, what did kissing have to do with anything? He said, no matter who is there, we have to work with them. And he said, your political views are not going to put food on the table, right? And you can support who and what you wish, but you still need to be, you still have to do the job that you put there, and that's what we're hoping their professionals in the U.S. are saying.
Exactly.
And ultimately, whether they support him or not.
Well, you know, I think I invite the Bahamian people to reflect on the American election and where there are parallels in our own situation, and to ask ourselves, are we satisfied with the conversations we're having about our future? Because in many ways, I see the political groups here as ideologically mostly the same.
Exactly.
How do you really distinguish yourself one from another? And it's one thing, like Trump said, you're going to build a wall. It's one thing to say you're going to do something in these manifestos that you always say.
Yeah, but then you don't do it.
Then you don't do it, and you're surprised and shocked and heartbroken. You get voted out 5 years later, but you didn't do anything you promised you'd do. So I think the challenge really is because we're not that far away from that season ourselves.
Yep,
how are you distinguishing yourself one from another in terms of your philosophy, your policy, your action plan? Because you seem so much alike. You say all the same things. And then can you follow through on some of that? And that actually make a difference? Because Bahamians it's hard.
Yeah.
Cost of living is hard, and we want to see.
They're saying the same things Americans.
Of course they are.
Into this.
Exactly. So
I'm not better off today.
Exactly. And so, what are you doing what is your plan to actually alleviate this and create new jobs, and for my son to want to come back and work and live here and own a home? And
that's a whole other show we gotta
exactly
deal with. But sorry, I gotta ask this question. You gotta excuse me for being a bit crass, but I have to wonder, since it was such a big deal, at least on the Democratic side, well, on both sides really, but are American women's wombs cowering in fear right now?
Oh wow.
You know, they showed a statistic when they showed the results of Florida, right, which is frightening, having a daughter. And so I'm just going to take this from a personal standpoint. I, from a religious and God-fearing individual, don't believe that we have the unilateral right to decide who lives and dies. But there are certain circumstances where I think even the Lord himself would not. And a pastor once said to me, you know, when we look at the disciples who were physicians, right, if God didn't believe that medicine had a role to play, right, they would not be the ones around. And so I think that, you know, it is a bit frightening that we see the federal government probably being too intrusive in the decision-making of women. And so they showed where, you know, for a Florida woman, how far they would have to travel to find a state that would do so. And if you watch Trump, he was very crafty in it. He said, look, I didn't take away the state authority, you know. I just eliminated the Roe v. Wade and the federal authority. Now the states could leave it up to themselves. And, you know, the states are now starting to see what type of persons they have within the states. But I do believe, yes, there are women across America, but I think there was a big enough faction that said the way it was put was, and the way he did very, very, very skillfully was that they're just killing the babies, right? And when he said it that way, and when you have the Pope that said, well, look, you're picking between two evils when he described Trump, but then he also said you have, you know, a murder on the other side, not exact words, but basically saying supporting abortion when Catholicism doesn't. That is going to be a difficult one. And if you say to my daughter, you know, she's the victim of an attack, an abuse, or you have a medical condition, or you know that the child is going to suffer and probably not make it through the initial months, is that better?
I got to cut you off right there, because, Ian, we got 2 minutes left, and I want to hear more from you.
Yeah, no, I would just say I agree with everything that Gowan said, but I think also let's not forget that there's life in the womb, and then there's life out of the womb, and the Republicans don't want to protect those either, since they have no problem with, it seems, with little children being gunned down in primary school. And the Democrats are equally to blame. I mean, Congress and the Senate is not prepared to protect Americans from gun violence. It's that simple. PLP, sorry, Republican or Democrat, and that's a serious problem for me. And I don't expect any progress on that under Trump at all. He's not gonna mess with that at all. And that has implications for us, of course, because we have our own gun violence problems. Because we don't make guns, but they're in our country.
But they're here.
In our streets, and we're killing each other with them. right? So.
Well, I guess all we're going to do is wait and see. He takes office in January 20th. Obviously, there should be no insurrections leading up to that. But gentlemen, always great to talk with you both. I'm Gawambo Ian Strawn.
Thank you so much.
I'm Julian Reed, and thank you for joining us.
At Centerville, I'm LaDawn Davis. This is ZNS.
Imagine a future where rising seas and extreme weather not only threaten our homes, but also drain our national economy. As climate change continues to impact the Bahamas, the financial costs are growing, from disaster recovery to sustainable infrastructure investments. This is Protecting Paradise, the Bahamas' fight against climate change. Join us as we explore the real price of climate change and the innovative solutions that could help protect our islands and our economy for generations to come. Keep watching. A brand new episode of You and Your Money starts now.
You and Your Money is brought to you by J.S. Johnson, Leno, and Easy Car Sales.
Welcome to You and Your Money, everyone. Joining us today to talk about rising tides, the impact of sea level rise on the Bahamas, is Dr. Rihanna Neely Murphy from the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection. Dr. Rihanna Neely Murphy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, Dr. Rihanna, how has the rising sea levels already affected coastal communities in the Bahamas, and what are the projections for the coming decades?
So thank you. And again, it's a pleasure to be here. I would just like to say that the entire Bahamas is a coastal community. We have been designated, the entire 100,000 square miles of us, as coastal. So all 400,000 of us, based on the last census, are included in the coastal communities. And so this is having an impact on everybody in the Bahamas, from north to south, east to west. And we're seeing impacts with respect to the last 30 years, the last 10 years, the last 20 years on our coastlines, where if you walk along certain beaches, you would see that if there is a place that you used to be able to walk and it's dry, we've seen about 1 foot of sea level rise that we have experienced in the last 30 years. And we expect that if there is a business as usual, if nobody does anything to address the climate crisis, the climate change issue, that we could see up to 1 meter of sea level rise across the Bahamas.
Now, I know you said it affects the entire Bahamas. Now, what specific areas or islands in the Bahamas are most vulnerable to sea level rise, and what measures are being taken in order to protect these areas?
So we've seen some impacts in central and northern Bahamas. We've also seen some more different impacts in the southern Bahamas.